With 2024 right around the corner, I know a lot of you are planning out your year. So let's get straight into it. These are the top credit cards you need in the upcoming year. These are in no particular order and my opinion from someone who has redeemed for over $30,000 of value from my cards this year from both travel and cashback. First is a card I really think can fit in anyone's wallet. Not only does it provide flexible ways to redeem value, whether that be easy cashback or easy travel redemptions if you aren't into scouring the web for availability, but if you're into that, then have the ability to do that as well. Heck, right off the bat, you're getting $750 in value just after hitting the spending limit, enough to pay for the lower annual fee multiple times over. And it's also the card that's been in my personal setup for the longest time, over 6 years now, and it's gotta be the Chase Sapphire Preferred card. Like I mentioned, this card basically has everything going for it, with a welcome bonus of 60,000 points after just 4K of spend in the first 3 months, with offers as high as 100,000 points during some periods. That's enough to cover multiple years of the $95 of annual fees. And that's because of how flexible Chase points are. I mean, you can redeem for Apple products through that store, gift cards, and more, but I'd bucket the most popular and valuable redemptions into 3 buckets. 1. Cashback. Plain and simple, you can redeem your Chase points for cashback at a straightforward 1 cent per point rate, meaning when the card says 1 times points, that's equivalent of 1% back in cashback. And this card has quite a few useful categories too, like getting 5 times on travel through the Chase portal, 2 times on general travel, 3 times on dining, online groceries, and select streaming services, and 1 times on everything else. So you will know that you'll get at least that amount in cashback value for little to no extra work. Second, you can use these points towards bookings through the Chase travel portal, which includes flights, hotels, car rentals, and more. Now, you do want to double check that the prices are the same across other sites like Google or Expedia, but if they are and you decide to use your points towards these redemptions, you'll get an extra 25% boost to the value of your points. Taking this example on a popular flight from SF to New York, you'll see that the cash price is $288. But if you're paying with points, that's only 23,024 points. Divide the 2 and you get 1.25 cents per point. And third, the way to get the most value out of your points is through the Chase transfer partners, which they have a great set of. And the most popular one by far has got to be World of Hyatt, with my personal favorite being Aeroplan, which has been the program I've done most of my redemptions this year, burning about 700,000 points for a value upwards of $30,000 towards business class flights to Malaysia, Singapore, Korea, Taiwan, and Japan, giving my points an average of about 4 to 5 cents per point. Now that might sound amazing because 4 cents per point, that pins the multipliers at a value of 20%, 8%, and 12% for these categories, and 4% overall. But that's not always possible given the effort you have to put in to even find these availabilities in the first place. Not to mention where you want to fly and in what class you want to fly in. Instead, the normally accepted value for these points going through this method is about 2 cents per point, hitting the multipliers at 10, 4, 6, and 2%, which is still quite good. And if you want a step-by-step breakdown on exactly how I did these redemptions, check out the video up above. And so you can see that this card gives you a variety of ways to earn a boatload of points, from the welcome bonus to the multipliers and flexible ways to redeem from cashback, easy travel redemptions, or maximizing value through transfer partners. Combine that with a range of partner benefits from Lyft, DoorDash, Instacart, and Peloton, and protections for your travels and purchases, and you have a really well-rounded card for just $95 in annual fee, which can be subsidized by using the $50 statement credit to hotel purchases through the portal every anniversary year. What's more is that if you start off with the card, then you're already taking a step in the right direction towards one of the most powerful credit card ecosystems in the space today, especially if you add the second card you need for 2024, and that's the Chase Freedom Flex card, the second card of the Chase trifecta. Now, this card does have some overlapping categories with the Sapphire Preferred, like the same multiplier for travel through their portal and dining, But the major selling point here is the 5% or 5 times points you get towards quarterly categories up to $1,500 a quarter. And so with the PayPal category being in Q4 of 2023 and a ton of retailers online taking PayPal, it was pretty easy to max out this spend in this quarter, giving me an extra 7,500 points. And with Chase points being extra flexible, that's equivalent to $75 for cashback, $93.75 for easy travel redemptions through the Chase portal, and upwards of $150 if you decide to go through transfer partners. And looking forward, it seems like Q1 of 2024 will include grocery stores, fitness clubs, and self-care and spa services, so I probably won't be able to max out the value in that quarter, but that's okay because you don't have to. Because this is a no annual fee card, you can just keep the card and use it when these 5 times categories suit your lifestyle. Another thing that this card has that the Sapphire Preferred does not, cell phone protection. As long as you're paying the monthly bill with this card, you can claim up to $800 or $1,000 per year towards damage or theft to your cell phone after a $50 deductible. Something nice to fall back on in case something does go wrong. Now, as we're talking about Chase cards, you're probably already familiar with the Chase trifecta, a card like the Sapphire Preferred, the Freedom Flex, and then the Freedom Unlimited. And so you might think that the Freedom Unlimited is the next card on this list. But no. In my opinion, I think the Chase Freedom Unlimited and completing the full trifecta is a bit overrated, because the main selling point of the Freedom Unlimited is getting 1.5% or 1.5 times points back towards all purchases with no spending limit or specific categories. But if you're going for cashback, there are cards out there giving you 2% back on all of your spend. But then if you're trying to maximize the value of your points, then there are other better cards for that, like the Venture X giving you 2 times miles. Now, if your primary way of using these points is through the Chase travel portal, then this card could make sense. But another card that could enhance the setup if that's what you want to do is the Chase Sapphire Reserve card. Now, I said this before, but I still do not think that this is the card to go for if you're trying to maximize value for your spend and your points. Because if you're doing that, you're probably going through transfer partners. And to go through transfer partners, you can already do so by having the lower end card, the Sapphire Preferred, with its $95 in annual fees. And then when it comes to earning points with these cards, both cards have the same baseline welcome bonus of 60,000 points after 4K of spend in the first 3 months. So if you're getting, say, 2 cents per point on average, you're already getting upwards of $1,200 in value from either of these cards. But I can see how this does work in specific use cases, like if you're just using your points through the travel portal, because this card will give you a 50% boost on those redemptions. So using the previous example, this $288 flight would have costed you 23,024 points if you had the preferred card with a 25% boost. Instead, that gets lowered to 19,200 points when you're using the reserve card with its 50% bump. Yes, this card does have a hefty annual fee of $550, but that's immediately knocked down with a $300 travel credit towards any travel purchases. It doesn't have to be through the portal, which brings the effective annual fee down to just $250. And so what do you get for that $250? Well, first you get higher multipliers, giving you 10 times points for hotels and car rentals through the portal, 3 times on travel worldwide, 10 times on Chase dining, Priority Pass and Chase Sapphire Lounge access, and credit to Global Entry, TSA PreCheck, or Nexus. If you do spend in those categories a ton, it could cut into the annual fee and help you lower that effective cost, and so will the partner benefits across the same 4 partners, but giving you extra credits on a lot of them. There's also better travel protections with higher limits, as well as purchase coverage including return protection up to $500. And so if you're able to use all of these different perks and benefits on the reserve, it could be a valid choice over the preferred card. But either way, given the ease of changing between cards in the Chase Freedom or Chase Sapphire space, if you get this card first, you could always change it down to a card like the Sapphire Preferred if you think that one's better, or even all the way down to one of the Chase Freedom cards if you want no annual fees. Basically, you have choices and again, flexibility depending on changes in your own lifestyle. Now, when it comes to premium credit cards, the one that's been really popular in recent years has got to be the Capital One Venture X card. And that's because of its relatively low annual fee and 2 easy ways to offset that cost. With $395 paid every year, that's then offset by the yearly $300 travel credit through the portal and 10,000 miles every anniversary year, totaling at least $400 in value year after year. Though with Venture Miles, you are only getting 0.5 cents per mile if you're going through cashback, but you'll get 1 cent per mile to redeem towards any travel purchases, or the 2 cents or more when going through transfer partners. So just a little bit less flexible compared to the Chase points. But for such an easy to justify card, you do get a whole lot. For example, my Venture X has been my primary go-to catch-all card, giving me 2 times miles on all purchases without a spending cap or specific categories. And one of the main reasons why I don't have the Freedom Unlimited. On top of that, you'll get 10 times miles on hotels and car rentals, as well as 5 times on flights, both booked through the portal. And given all of these extra perks you get from booking through the portal, as well as the extra easy to use interface, this is where I've been booking a lot of these short haul flights that don't make sense to use points towards, and I'll have to pay cash anyways. Because that way I'll get these 5 times miles, as well as be able to use the yearly $300 credit. And again, all of these different perks and benefits could be considered free if you're able to justify the annual fee costs with those 2 easy to use credits. And that's including this card being probably the 2nd or 3rd best lounge card, giving you access to Plaza Premium lounges, as well as Priority Pass lounges with unlimited guests, and then of course, Capital One's own lounges that they're quickly expanding. I think after this year, I've been starting to appreciate lounges outside of the Priority Pass network, specifically with Plaza Premium, given they all seem so much more modern and less crowded compared to the competition. If you have close ones you also want to provide these benefits with, then you'll make use of the free authorized users you can add to this card, who will each have their own lounge access as well. Not to mention the top-end Hertz President Circle that could save you hundreds of dollars if you rent cars pretty often. And all with a pretty nice 75,000 mile bonus after 4K of spend in the first 3 months. It's no wonder this card has been so popular over the last couple of years, but also one that I'm afraid is on the chopping block for negative changes down the road. Next, just like how the Chase ecosystem has a few cards, Capital One does too, with the next card you want to consider in 2024 being the Capital One Saver 1 card. Honestly, one of the best no annual fee cards out there, and one that I'm strongly considering, because it's a straightforward card that will offer you 3% back with no spending limits on dining, entertainment, popular streaming services, and grocery stores, 8% towards Capital One Entertainment, and 1% on everything else. The highlight here being the 3% in dining and grocery store spend, especially when there's also no foreign transaction fee, so you can use this around the world without incurring extra fees. And here's the amazing part. All of these categories can be as if you were earning miles instead, given you can convert this cashback at a 1 cent per mile rate over to Venture Miles. Just note that if you are going for cashback, keep them in cashback, because once they're on Venture Miles, although there's a much higher ceiling of value, if you redeem for cash then, each Venture Mile is only worth 0.5 cents. So keep that in mind. And then another reason why this card is near the top of my list is because of its complimentary Uber benefits, giving you 10% back for Uber Eats and Uber purchases with Uber One membership through November 2024. I think the only thing holding me back is potentially a new offer or a new card that gives me more value that I may want to get. And of course, not burning a 524 slot for this card. But that said, the longer I wait, the less value I get from this whole Uber perk. perk, unless they decide to keep it permanently, but who knows. Alright, next card you need to consider in the next year is the Bill to MasterCard. Plain and simple, use this card to earn points when paying your rent without any transaction fees. If you're in a high or very high cost of living city, rent can be $2, $3, or even upwards of $4,000 per month, so getting 1 point per dollar there can really add up, especially on a no annual fee card, so there's no cost there, but you will have to remember to use this card at least 5 times per statement cycle in order to earn those points. But I would guess that a lot of use on this card comes on the first of the month or rent day because of the added benefits like double points, giving you 6 times points on dining, 4 times on flights, and 2 times on everything else but rent, up to 10,000 points. That's a lot of value and could mean you delay some of your purchases to make them on the first of every month. And that's on top of the hero benefits that change every month, among some others as well. The card does come with a variety of travel benefits, from trip protection to cell phone protection and purchase security as well. But the most impressive part of it all is the list of transfer partners they have that you can use these points for, like American Airlines, which is really rare to have, Aeroplan, which again has been my go-to, and World of Hyatt, basically one of the main reasons why people go to Chase. This card has it all except for the welcome bonus, which for a lot of cards is where you get a lot of the value from. There has also been some controversy with Wells Fargo, but it seems like that is slowly improving. So a great way to earn thousands of points each month if you're renting, but you'll just have to remember to use this card at least 5 times a month, track the hero benefits, and make sure you're using those double points on rent day to maximize this card. Next, if you're one of the almost 80 million households in the US that has Amazon Prime, then you'll want to strongly consider the Amazon Prime Visa card. Basically, if you already have Prime, this card is no extra charge to you, but will also give you a couple $100s in gift card as a welcome bonus. But why I think this card is pretty amazing is because of its 5% back from Amazon, Amazon Fresh, Whole Foods, and Chase travel purchases. If you have Prime, then that means you shop on Amazon quite a lot. And if you do that, then getting 5% flat across all of your purchases really adds up. I mean, say you were to use the Venture X here. You get 2 times miles per every dollar. At an average of 2 cents per mile, that's still just 4% back in value. And so getting 5% without doing any additional work is awesome in comparison. And so if you shop on Amazon a lot, especially during all of these holiday seasons, then you'll want to consider this Amazon Prime Visa card and get basically 5% off across all of your purchases. Now, when it comes to ecosystems, we've talked about Chase, we've talked about Capital One, but another ecosystem you can get amazing value from is American Express, specifically with the Amex Gold card. Probably one of the best everyday spending cards you can go for. With offers as high as 90,000 points after 6K of spend in 6 months, that's a much higher welcome bonus, as well as double the time compared to most cards. Because at 2 cents per point on average, that's upwards of $1,800 in value just from that bonus. And yes, that is with a mid-range $250 a year in annual fee, but that can be offset by the $120 you get a year in Uber credit, as well as the $120 a year towards dining across these few restaurants. Where if you use both to the max, that brings the effective annual fee down to just $10. And for that amount, you're getting a high multiplier of 4 times points towards restaurants worldwide, or 4 times points towards supermarkets in the US with a pretty high limit, as well as 3 times on flights booked through the portal. Now remember, the Savor One card has no annual fee, but gives you 3 times miles on those same categories. So with the Amex Gold, you are getting more points for a little bit more cost, depending on what your effective annual fee is after you factor in the credits. There's also the case to be made that Amex points are slightly better than Capital One, but that's a comparison that you'll have to make. Personally, I have cards that span all 3 ecosystems: Chase, Capital One, and American Express. But that's because so many of my redemptions have been centered around Asia, and I think that the best program for that is Aeroplan, which transfers from all 3. And so the Gold card is an amazing way to beef up your points from the welcome bonus, as well as be a really strong everyday card with those 4 times categories. But all of the cards today can provide amazing value depending on your use case. from cashback to easy travel redemptions to maximizing your points using transfer partners. That said, there is one more card that has given me by far the most value over my 5 years with the card. One that could give 150,000 points just from the welcome bonus, being valued at over $3,000 for those transfer partner redemptions. It's a card that does have a more niche audience, but can be really powerful if it suits your lifestyle. And so to learn more about the card, go ahead and check out this video for my review after 5 years with it. See you over there.